The stars stretched endlessly across the black canvas of space, sparkling like distant diamonds. Commander Ethan Hayes stood at the viewport of the starship Aurora, his fingers tapping the glass. He had spent 2 years on this ship, traveling farther from Earth than any human before him, yet tonight, he felt smaller than ever. At 24, he was one of the youngest officers aboard, yet the weight of responsibility pressed down like gravity. "Ethan, report to the bridge immediately," crackled the captain's voice over the comms. He exhaled sharply and hurried down the narrow corridors, boots echoing against the metallic floor. The bridge was buzzing with tension. Crew members exchanged worried glances. Captain Marlowe, a tall man with graying hair, stood at the front, his face unreadable. Beside him, Lieutenant Zara Quinn adjusted the ship's tactical monitors, eyes sharp and alert. "What is it, sir?" Ethan asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "Scan picked up an unknown fleet," the captain said, pointing at the main view screen. Ethan's heart skipped a beat. The screen showed dozens of sleek ships orbiting a vivid blue-green planet. Their design was unfamiliar, smooth, angular, glowing faintly with an energy Ethan didn't recognize. "Alien ships," Ethan breathed. "Yes," Lieutenant Quinn confirmed, her voice calm but firm. "They detected us first." Before Ethan could respond, the ship shuddered violently. Red warning lights bathed the bridge in a harsh glow as alarms screamed. Pilot Arya Chen's hands flew over the controls. "They're pulling us in. I can't break free." Captain Marlowe's face hardened. "All hands prepare for first contact. This is not a drill." Ethan gripped a railing, forcing himself to stay upright. He had trained for emergencies, simulations, drills, but never for this. Real alien contact, real danger. The enormity of it settled in like a heavy weight in his chest. A massive vessel detached from the alien fleet, drifting closer with eerie grace. Its surface shimmered with silver-blue light, larger than anything humanity had ever built. Ethan's jaw tightened. "They're sending a message," said Security Chief Dorian Hayes, not related to Ethan. "Put it on the main screen." The screen flickered, revealing the interior of the alien ship. Tall, thin beings stepped into view, their skin a pale, iridescent blue, eyes silver and luminous, clothing metallic and seamless. One figure stood forward, wearing a crown-like ornament. His voice, though strange, came through in perfect English, translated by the ship systems. "You have entered the territory of the Calithians," he said, voice cold and precise. "You will follow our orders. Resistance is futile." Captain Marlowe raised a hand. "We come in peace. We are explorers." The alien's gaze narrowed. "Humans, naive and untested. You will come to our world. There your fate, and the fate of your people, will be decided." Ethan's stomach churned. Fate of humanity. He swallowed hard. The ship lurched as invisible forces guided them toward the planet. During the journey, the crew prepared for whatever awaited them. Weapons checked, protocols reviewed, nerves steeled. Ethan, usually focused on navigation and communications, felt out of place. He was not trained to fight, to lead soldiers, or to confront empires. Yet the captain chose him to join the delegation meeting the Calithians on their planet. When the Aurora finally descended, the city that greeted them was astonishing. Towers of silver and crystal pierced the clouds, airships gliding silently between them. Streets of polished metal reflected the alien sky. The Calithian guards led the humans through the streets. The locals, tall and elegant, turned to stare. Some whispered, others frowned. Ethan felt exposed like prey under watchful eyes. At last, they arrived at a palace more magnificent than anything on Earth. Doors taller than a building swung open to reveal corridors lined with shimmering walls. Lights floated without support, and murals moved as though alive. At the heart of the palace, a grand throne room awaited, filled with hundreds of Calithians. Seated on a massive throne was the figure from the ship, Emperor Valor. Beside him stood a younger Calithian, clearly female, her skin glowing softly. Silver eyes fixed on the humans with an intensity that made Ethan's chest tighten. "These are humans," the Emperor's voice echoed. "They appear weak." Captain Marlowe stepped forward, voice firm. "Your Majesty, we come in peace. We wish to share knowledge and learn about your people." The Emperor laughed, a sound devoid of warmth. "Knowledge? You are fragile, untested. I will see if your kind has merit." The room's energy shifted as the princess stepped forward. She studied each human carefully. When her gaze settled on Ethan, a shiver ran down his spine. Her eyes seemed to pierce his thoughts. Slowly, she raised her hand and pointed. "That one," she said. "He will face the trials." Ethan froze. "Me?" He was not a warrior, not the strongest, not the smartest, just a communicator, someone behind the scenes. Yet here, in this alien world, the princess had chosen him. Captain Marlowe placed a steadying hand on his shoulder. "Looks like you're our champion now," he said quietly. That night, Ethan lay in the alien-provided quarters, the soft glow of the walls doing little to calm his racing mind. He heard a gentle sound. The door slid open silently, and the princess entered. Her presence was quiet yet commanding. "You are afraid," she stated, not asked. "Yes, Your Highness," Ethan admitted. "I don't understand why you chose me." She studied him. "You are not the strongest. You are not the fastest. But you think. You observe. You learn. My people have forgotten this." Ethan felt warmth in his chest, relief, curiosity, fear all intertwined. She explained the trials. Strength alone would not determine victory. Cleverness, strategy, and courage could triumph where power failed. "Tomorrow," she said, "you will face your first trial. Do not underestimate what humanity can do. Show my people the human way." As the princess left, Ethan realized that his journey was just beginning. The fate of his crew, perhaps even of humanity, rested not on brute force, but on a human mind willing to think differently, adapt, and never give up. The sun, or what passed for a sun on the Zarythian planet, shimmered through the transparent dome that covered the vast training grounds. Alex Carter stepped cautiously onto the alien soil, feeling its soft, spongy texture under his boots. He had spent the night pacing in his quarters, replaying every lesson Princess Leora had shared with him. Strategy, observation, patience. These were his weapons, and he had to wield them better than any physical strength. A massive crowd had already gathered in the central arena. Thousands of Zarythians, tall, elegant, and glowing with their pale blue skin, watched the humans with a mixture of curiosity and skepticism. Alex's teammates, Captain Reynolds, Lieutenant Chen, and the others, stood behind him, their expressions a mix of pride and worry. Today, the first trial would not just test him, it would define humanity in the eyes of an alien empire. The first opponent emerged. The gate hissed open, revealing a towering Zarythian named Karath, a seasoned gladiator with muscles that flexed like steel cables beneath his silvery blue skin. His weapon was a glowing whip that seemed alive, pulsating with energy as he cracked it in the air. The crowd murmured in anticipation. Alex's heart pounded, but he remembered Leora's words. Don't try to match strength with strength. Think. Observe. Adapt. The horn sounded. Karath lunged, whip slicing through the air with terrifying precision. Alex barely rolled to the side, the whip snapping just above his head. Pain flared in his side where he grazed a metal support beam earlier during practice, but he ignored it. He studied Karatha's movements, noting the rhythm, the slight hesitation before each strike, the way his foot always shifted a fraction too late when he aimed a swing. Humans saw patterns where others only saw force. Alex dodged again, spinning to put a pillar between himself and Karath. The Zarythian's whip smashed into the ground, sending shards of alien crystal skittering across the arena. The spectators gasped. Alex's pulse steadied. He picked up a piece of the crystal, holding it as a shield, instinctively using his environment. Korath roared, charging forward, and Alex sidestepped, letting the whip coil around a column. With a swift motion, he tripped Korath using his own momentum, sending the giant stumbling. The crowd erupted in shocked whispers. He hadn't defeated Korath by brute strength, but he had forced him to yield, if only temporarily. The Emperor's gaze narrowed. The Zarythians weren't used to cunning over sheer power. Leora's eyes sparkled from the stands. He was doing it. Humanity's way, their cleverness and adaptability, was showing. After Korath, the challenges became more complex. Alex faced a sequence of trials designed to test every facet of human ingenuity. Navigating a zero-gravity obstacle course, decoding alien machinery to open a series of locked gates, and negotiating a simulation where the stakes were tactical rather than physical. Each trial was broadcast across the city via hovering crystal projectors. Everywhere Zarythians watched, their whispers blending into a chorus of fascination and disbelief. During the mechanical puzzle trial, Alex approached a massive cube that rotated on invisible magnetic fields. Symbols glowed faintly on its surface, pulsing in sequences. To the Zarythians, it was a test of patience and memory. To Alex, it was a game of logic. He examined the patterns, noting repetitions in the lights, the sequence of the clicks as each panel rotated. Using a combination of intuition and deduction, he aligned the panels, and the cube opened with a satisfying click. A ripple of astonishment ran through the audience. Even Korath, now sitting on the sidelines, raised a brow in impressed acknowledgement. The most difficult test came on the third day. A war simulation with holographic armies. Alex would command 2,000 human-modeled soldiers against 2,000 Zarythian troops led by General Zarythian, the Empire's top strategist. The battlefield stretched across miles of projected terrain. Jagged cliffs, winding rivers, dense forests. Every decision would echo, every misstep magnified. Failure would be disastrous, not just for him but for humanity's reputation. He positioned his units carefully. Alex divided his forces into 3 main groups, assigning each a specialized task. The first group acted as decoys, drawing enemy forces into traps. The second group, hidden in the dense forests, was tasked with flanking. The third group formed the central reserve, ready to strike wherever the enemy faltered. General Zarythian's eyes, cold and calculating, watched his every move. The simulation began. At first, the Zarythians advanced aggressively, expecting an easy victory. Their soldiers charged forward, confident in their strength. Alex allowed them to overextend. As Zarythian's forces poured into the forested sector, Alex gave the signal. The hidden units struck from both flanks. Panic spread among the holographic soldiers. The Zarythians had not anticipated cunning or subtlety. By evening, Alex's forces had surrounded the enemy flag. Victory was his. Minimal casualties, maximum efficiency. Even the Emperor leaned forward, his silver eyes wide with disbelief. Exhausted but exhilarated, Alex returned to his quarters that night. Leora appeared shortly after, gliding silently through the open doorway. Her expression was unreadable, but there was a glimmer of pride in her eyes. "You've shown them something they never expected," she said softly. "The human way. Not stronger in muscle, but stronger in mind, in heart." Alex sank onto the bed, the weight of the trials pressing down on him. "Do you think they'll accept us? Humanity?" he asked. Leora moved closer, her glowing hands resting lightly on the edge of the bed. "They're starting to understand. But the trials aren't over. There's one more. One that will truly test your courage, not just your mind." She paused, her silver eyes meeting his. "And it will be dangerous. Perhaps the most dangerous thing you've ever faced." The next morning, Alex was led to the arena once more. This trial was different. The air shimmered with tension. A storm rumbled above the city's dome, as if the planet itself knew of the danger. The final challenge was a test of survival and diplomacy. He would face 3 elite Zarythians who combined physical prowess, psychic abilities, and advanced alien weaponry. Their task: subdue him any means necessary. His task: survive and negotiate using wit and courage. As the gates opened, Alex's breath caught. Each opponent radiated power. Yet, deep inside, he remembered Leora's teachings. Humans could do things others couldn't. Adapt, empathize, improvise. The trial began, and Alex stepped forward, mind racing, muscles tensed, ready to show that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in the arms they wielded, but in the hearts and minds they carried. The arena was quiet now, almost eerily so. The storm above the dome rumbled low, sending vibrations through the ground. Alex Carter stood alone in the center, his heart hammering but his mind sharp. Across from him, 3 figures emerged from the mist. They were unlike any opponents he had faced before. Towering Zarythians, their bodies rippling with muscle, and their eyes glowing with an intense, almost psychic energy. Each carried weapons that seemed extensions of themselves, humming with lethal potential. A murmur ran through the spectators. This was the moment every Zarythian citizen had waited for. Alex could feel the weight of humanity pressing on his shoulders. Every move he made now would define not just him, but what it meant to be human in the eyes of an alien empire. The first opponent lunged with a blur of motion, swinging a staff that emitted energy pulses capable of incinerating metal. Alex barely rolled aside, feeling the air vibrate with the strike. The second charged from the opposite direction, his claws glowing with blue plasma. Instinctively, Alex ducked and spun, grabbing a shard of the crystal floor to use as a makeshift shield. The third circled, observing, waiting for the perfect moment. Alex's mind raced. Strength alone would not win this fight. He remembered Leora's words. Humans survive because we think differently. Look for patterns, exploit weaknesses, and don't fear the unexpected. He studied the 3 attackers, noting the subtle tells in their movements, the twitch of a finger before a psychic blast, the slight shift in weight before a swing, the rhythm in which they coordinated attacks. Using the shard, he deflected the first staff strike, rolling behind a low barrier. The second attacker swung again, and Alex sidestepped, causing the plasma to scorch the ground harmlessly. With a swift motion, he hurled the crystal shard, hitting a pressure plate on the arena floor. A section of the platform shifted, momentarily separating the attackers. Alex took the chance. He sprinted toward the nearest control panel, remembering the puzzles from the earlier trials. This panel controlled part of the arena environment. He could manipulate it. As the first Zarythian recovered, he found the ground beneath him suddenly rising, forcing him off balance. The second collided with a temporary wall, his claws sparking harmlessly against the reinforced surface. The third paused, uncertainty flickering across his face. Alex smiled faintly. Humans didn't just fight, they adapted. But the trial wasn't over. A psychic pulse from the third attacker slammed into Alex's mind, forcing him to stagger. He fought the urge to panic, grounding himself with deep breaths. Focus on observation, not fear, he reminded himself. He noticed a pattern in the attacker's psychic waves, a rhythm he could anticipate. Timing his movements, Alex darted forward, disrupting the psychic flow and creating an opening. The first attacker lunged again, stronger this time. Alex ducked under the blow, grabbing a segment of the arena's machinery and twisting it to entangle the alien's legs. The second clawed at the barrier, trying to free himself, while the third prepared another psychic strike. Alex darted forward, shoving the second attacker into the first, using their own weight against them. The crowd gasped. No human had ever fought like this. No human had ever survived the combined might of 3 elite Zarythians. Yet here he was, standing, thinking, improvising, proving that humanity's strength wasn't just muscle, but mind, courage, and creativity. Suddenly, the arena shifted. A loud siren blared. The final phase of the trial was not combat alone. It was negotiation. The Emperor's voice echoed through the dome, transmitted via the arena's crystal speakers. "Human," it said, deep and resonant, You have demonstrated skill, courage, and adaptability. But now, prove your understanding. Convince my elite warriors to stand down without killing them." Alex's jaw tightened. This was no longer about survival, it was about diplomacy, empathy, and leadership. He approached the entangled attackers cautiously. "Listen," he said aloud, knowing the translation devices rendered his words into the Zarythian language. "You are not my enemies. I am not here to destroy you. But if you continue this fight, none of us will win. We can end this peacefully." The first Zarythian struggled against the machinery, but Alex didn't retreat. His eyes met the third's, the one with psychic powers. "Your strength is remarkable," he said sincerely. "But strength without understanding is hollow. We can achieve more together than apart. Trust me." A tense silence followed. The audience held their breath. For a moment, it seemed the words had no effect. Then slowly the psychic energy dimmed. The third attacker lowered his arms, signaling the others. Alex carefully disengaged the entanglements, helping the first two to their feet. The crowd erupted in astonished cheers. Humans had not only survived, they had persuaded, using reasoning and empathy rather than force. The Emperor appeared in the projection above the arena, his silver eyes fixed on Alex. "Remarkable," he said, his voice echoing like thunder. "You have shown what we feared yet hoped humans might possess. Courage, intelligence, compassion. You are unlike any species we have encountered. Humanity. Indeed, you are special." Leora stepped forward, her eyes glowing softly. She placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "You did it," she whispered. "You've proven them wrong. You've proven yourself. And more importantly, you've proven that humans belong here, not as conquerors but as equals." The Zarythians in the stands rose, clapping, cheering, and some even bowing. For the first time in centuries, the human race had gained respect in an alien empire, not through violence but through ingenuity, courage, and heart. Alex felt the weight of history on his shoulders. Humanity had survived, and in doing so, had shown that the greatest strength of all was the very thing that made them human. That night, Alex walked under the alien stars, the dome now silent. Leora beside him, she spoke softly. "The trials are over, but the journey has just begun. You've opened doors not just for yourself, but for all of us. The galaxy has seen humanity's heart." Alex smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "Then let's make sure we show them more," he said. "Let's show them all of it." Above them, the twin moons of Zarythian glimmered. In the quiet aftermath of the trials, a new chapter for humanity had begun, one where courage, intellect, and compassion could light the darkest corners of the galaxy.